Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado. I'm so glad you could join me today. Well, today I have my October paper pumpkin alternatives for you. This paper pumpkin is called Joy to the World, and I have made 6 cards, and let's just get started. Okay. Here is our paper pumpkin box for October, and it is called Joy to the World, October 2020. Let's see, make sure I'm on camera for that. Joy to the World, all right. And then this is what the paper pumpkin is to make this time. It is a kit that has all of the elements to make 8 cards. They're really very pretty with some wreaths and some floral arrangements here, and Merry Christmas and Joy to the World, and they're really very pretty. And the insides of the envelopes have cherry cobbler on them. The complementary colors this time are cherry cobbler, crumb cake, early espresso, just jade, and soft seafoam. And I made 6 cards. They gave you some alternatives to make 4 additional cards and a way to maybe use the box, it looks like. So this kit is done in multiple languages as well. So let me show you my cards. The first card that I made is this one, and let's see, I hope you can see all of that on there. I used a little bit of the paper from our Forever Greenery, the gold oil mirror pieces, and I just used this one sprig. I used the envelope from those gold cards and envelopes, and I used on this one, this is the one I went most off the rails with here, and I was so enamored with these curvy dies that I got that I used this die here to create this border on the little piece of card, the envelope for those cards. And I had used a lot of the front of the envelope, but I had pieces that were this size. So I cut a piece here using this die and put it on there this way and got that little bend to it, then cut it down to fit on here. And I used one of their card bases. And the card bases that they gave us this time are these. And this one is one where the stitching, the gold stitching, is running, depending on how you look at it, it's running up and down. If you're looking at it like this, it's running horizontally here. And on this one, it is running up and down the short side. And so what I did was, let me just show you some of the pieces here. The stamp set itself, which is very pretty, is this one. And it has a Merry Christmas on it. It has this beautiful wreath, sending joy to you and yours, to the world. There's this beautiful flower here. There is the word joy. And then this one, wishing you a very happy Christmas filled with fun and laughter. And those are the stamps. And I used the wreath, the joy, the Merry Christmas, the flower, and I don't think I used anything else out of that stamp set, although most of these, for instance, that big sentiment could be easily stamped on the inside of this one. So this one I left very monochromatic. I did it all in golds, and I used the joy from the kit, and this is the page that you get that has these two large mirrored banners. There's peace, love, joy, and then those words appear in a couple of different languages. And so this one I left all gold, and I brought in this piece and this little sprig, and then I just embossed that wreath on the front of the card and then again on the inside. So that one is card number 1. On most of the rest of these, I just used the material in the kit. That is, with the exception of, I did use a little bit of Just Jade cardstock, and I used a little bit of cherry cobbler cardstock. And this one, I used a little bit of soft seafoam. So, one of the things that you get in your kit are these pages of wreaths that are stamped or pre-stamped for you, and these are laser cut pieces, so they just pop out. And this wreath is already pre-stamped for you in, I think you can see that, it's pre-stamped in soft seafoam and little red berries. And so on this one, what I did was I over-stamped the top of it with this stamp in the stamp set here in the Just Jade. And then I added some gilded gems and some red rhinestones, and I cut this piece of seafoam on the bottom 4 by 5 1/4. Then I took apart one of the envelopes. So here's the envelopes. You know me, they give me a piece of paper with a pattern on it, and I try to use it. So this beautiful piece of paper goes all the way down. And so I just cut off this piece, cut down the sides, cut the bottom off, so that I ended up with a piece of paper almost this big to work with. So I cut that piece down to 3 3/4 by 5, and then I used my rectangle stitched framelits here. And let's see, I think I used the 4th from the largest. Nope, 3rd from the largest. Let me grab that out so you can see here. And I just cut this piece out of the center, so I ended up with this pretty little red frame around my piece of soft seafoam. Then I fussy cut out the, no, this was the die cut. Yes, this was the die cut, so I didn't have to fussy cut anything out. I just used the die cut, put the gems on there. You also got the twine, which is the cherry cobbler twine. So I did a triple layer of twine here to make my bow, and then one to make it look like the wreath was hanging. Then this banner here is one of these banners, and it was a little long to go across my card this way. So you can see I trimmed it down, not very much, 1/8 of an inch, something like that. And then did my Merry Christmas with cherry cobbler on the soft seafoam. And then cut out the Merry Christmas, did some fussy cutting on that one. On the inside, I did the same thing with the frame, that I took a piece that was 4 by 5 1/4 and cut the frame piece out. And that is my decoration for the inside. So that one is card number 2. Let me move these things out of the way. And card number 3 was this one. And I used a Whisper White card base. And I used 2 of the flowers. And I just used one of the flowers just the way it was and put it up on dimensional. And on the other one, I cut out these leaves and this little flower on the outside here. Just those pieces right there. and I laid that part flat on the front of the card and then raised the second one on dimensionals. Now, in this kit is also a package of labels. Yes, a package of labels in white that are stitched, large ones and small ones. So I used one of the small ones, and I did thanks, and I used here's a card for thanks, and I made a birthday card, and both of those are from the Here's a Card stamp set. But I thought that was just so pretty with that. And again, this is the paper from the envelope, and across here to just frame that all in the whites. And then on the inside, I further fussy cut out the flower after I cut this piece off close to the rim and used it as a decoration on the inside of the card. And the only adjustment I made, you'll see this one has a darker green leaf on it than these do, and I used my soft seafoam blender pen here and colored in the one on the inside, and I suppose for consistency I could color the one on the outside as well, but I liked it just the way it was. Okay, so that one is card number 3. And I just love that one. Then this one was card number 4. And what I did was I cut one of these panels in half. So I just cut these two pieces apart. And I cut this piece down to 4 by 5 1/4, so it would be the frame or the first layer on my page here. And then I cut 3 pieces of this 3/4 of an inch 3 times. And I used those 3 right here separated by, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch a piece, just to give some of that definition. Now, where did I get my shiny metal? Well, on these pieces, I cut 1/4 of an inch off of either side of the, I think there's 2 of these sticker sheets or 3, but I cut that off and cut this down to size so I could get a horizontal piece going here in that gold shiny color, because it matched the letters in the words. And I put piece across here. Then you did also get several of these pieces, and I think there's 2 different sizes, if I remember right. Yes, there's 2 different sizes, and these are embossed pieces of Whisper White. And so what I did was I used my Just Jade to create a mat for the back of this piece, and I just cut one down. There's no rhyme or reason to it. So that the word peace would fit across it. And then I used an ink dauber, and I went over the embossing to raise so that you could really see the pattern, because the white on white, you don't see much of the pattern on these pieces. I'll bring that up. You can see it a little bit in the camera, but it's very, very faint. And I wanted it to show a little bit more. And then this, using the flower down here, picks up the jade here, and I like the way that looked. Then I used another one of these pieces, a piece of jade and a piece of soft seafoam, and I used this little flower stamp from the stamp set here, and I used my dauber in the cherry cobbler and just put color all around that flower. I wasn't trying to stay in the lines. And in that stamp set is also these 3 little dots. I'm sure they're supposed to be like little holly berries for the wreath, but I thought they looked awfully nice just like that. So that was my decoration for the inside. So this piece is 4 by 5 1/4. The jade piece is 3 3/4 by 5, and this soft seafoam piece is 1/4 shorter, so it's 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And So that is card number 4. Then this card, I took a piece of Whisper White, and there's some more of those bands that I cut from one of those sticker pieces. And what I did was, in the case, let me see if I can find that exact piece that I used. I think it was this one. Yep, it was this one. So on this, what I did is I used, you can see where I was putting peace across there, and love, which is here. And I just used my ink dauber, and I went across and I used this as a stencil. So there's my love, there's my joy, and I put those on here in a random way. Then I used the stamp joy and I put it down. Then I used the flower stamp, just creating a little piece of DSP, if you will, and then those little berries. And I just used my dauber in the middle of those flowers to give them just a little bit of color. And I just love the way that came out. Then I cut that piece down to this size, and I don't even know what this ended up being. Let's see if we can figure that out. Might be easier to do it with this one. So this piece ended up being, 4 inches by, not quite 3 3/4, maybe 3 and, well, a tick short of 3 3/4. So a very small 1/16 of an inch or something shorter than that. But you can cut it to any size you'd like. If it worked for you to make it a little bit smaller, I think it would make all the difference in the world. You could make this 3 1/2 by 4 and then put your pieces here. Now I used a little bit of the twine wrapped around here and a little bow, and then I used my happy birthday from Here's a Card and just put a little Just Jade mat on that one. Then on the inside of this one, I used Just Jade. I used a piece of Whisper White, and then I put my little flower on this one as well. Okay, that one is card number 5. And then card number 6 is very simple. I used their card base with the streaks going across this way. I used a piece of the envelope here, and this ended up being 4 1/4 by 3 inches. And you know what it is? It is the center of this, because you see the stitching on there. So I took the center out of this one and used it here, and I stamped Merry Christmas in Versamark, and then used my gold embossing powder and another one of those gold strips along here, and then some champagne rhinestones. And on the inside, I used a piece of cherry cobbler and a piece of white, and then I cut 2 strips of this kind of the paper going this way. So that one is card number 6. I'm really tickled with the way that these cards came out. I'm really pleased with them, and when I first looked at it, I wasn't sure what I thought of jade and seafoam and cherry cobbler, but I really like this color combination. I have a hard time deciding. I think that these two are probably my favorites in all of this. You'll have to tell me what you think, but I really do like them all. They were fun to work with, and it was fun kit to do something with, and it doesn't necessarily have to be for Christmas. I mean, that makes a very nice thank you card, and I think this makes a lovely birthday card. So one could do all kinds of things with this kit, and the cards that they suggest are lovely as well. and they've offered up some alternatives of their own. So that is my project for the day. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do so appreciate it. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. Right now, to join Stampin' Up!, because the quarter has just ended with September, your first full quarter doesn't happen until the end of March. So joining now means that you have an extra couple of months to make your first minimum. I'd love to talk to you about it if you're interested at all. And let's see, my prize draw for the month is a bundle of your choice out of any of the catalogs. And there's the DSP paper sale is still going on with Stampin' Up! And I've got a post up on my blog to explain how it works and all of the papers that are included in the sale. And the next big thing coming is this quite curvy set, which I used one of the pieces here, and I did a Christmas card earlier in the week this week that used the Merry Merlot, and I just loved it. So that's it for me. And I'll be back soon with more cards, more projects, and more tips. Bye!